Hello there, taxidermists and gentle peeps. This is Neil Woodman here, just making a little video here to give some insight into scaling. Yes, scaling. So, for those of you that don't know Digital Taxidermy, we make models in STLs and printed files for 3D printing, mostly for tabletop gaming. So, the models that we make are predominantly for 28mm games. These include things like Warhammer 40k, Bolt Action. We do have some fantasy offerings here for like Dungeons and Dragons. You'll see here things like for Space Hulk, bunkers here for Bolt Action. So we cover a vast array of different things. Some of them are created from our own imagination. Some of them, like these, are created from reference images. So how do we go about it? Well, first of all, we come up with an idea or we get a request. Then we do a little bit of research, and then if it is something that's based on reality, so things like these bunkers, things like the quad Polston here, then we look at things like a wiki or some genuine plans. We get the size information off of them, and then we work to a scale modeling concept. So what scale do we choose? Well, 28mm is, as we say in the business, an absolute minefield. Yes, minefield. So what is wrong with 28mm scale, you say? Well, 28mm scale modeling, let's just have a look here. 28mm scale modeling is based around a representational scale, not a fixed scale. You have lots of different games that all claim to be 28mm, 32mm, around that sort of way, and if you look deeper into them, then there's quite a sliding scale. So what does 28mm scale actually mean? Well, you see here there's a little blog on our website which covers lots of this information, and just sort of going to disseminate that for you now. So 28mm scale, 32mm scale, what does 28mm scale mean? Well, 28mm is representational scale, and the idea of it is that irrespective of the physical height of the model that it is representing, so if it in real life it was 7 foot tall or 5 foot tall, each model will be 32mm in height. Why 32mm when it's 28mm scale? Well, 28mm scale means from the feet to the eye level. Okay, so from the foot of the model, the bottom of the foot, to the eye level of the model is 28mm. This means that above the eyes, the forehead and the top of the head is not taken into account, so that takes it from the bottom of the foot to the top of the head to be 32mm. The other thing about it is it doesn't include the base, so the thicker your base, the taller the model. So first of all, that creates a bit of confusion. And even during that, certain representations through different sculptors take on different sizes. There's such a thing as 28mm heroic, right? So 28mm heroic, what does that mean? Well, it means that the head and the hands and key features are accentuated. So they are made bigger in proportion to the rest of the model, in order to pick out key elements, facial expressions, other things like that. make sure you're able to paint those eyes, for examples. Now, not all model makers do that. Some people sculpt differently, of course. So you say, if all these models are 32mm tall, in total height, what's 32mm scale? Well, 32mm scale means from the bottom of the foot to the eye line is 32mm. And so this then means there's another few millimeters above that, making the model 36 to 38mm tall. That's another scale for another game. Now, our models are made specifically in a 150 scale. So what does 150 scale mean? Well, 150 scale is the true dimensions divided by 50. Simple. Yeah? So, if you have something that is 2 inches, that will be represented by 1mm. So 2 inches is approximately 50mm in conversion. So divide that by 50, you get 1mm. Okay, so that's approximately what we're working on. Yeah. Now, in various game systems, you find that the miniatures use 28mm. When you get into vehicles and stuff, other models and things that may be included in that game system, like, for example, your World War II games. So we're looking at things like Bolt Action here. That's a primary candidate. They tend to use 156 scale for their vehicles. So 156 and 28mm scale miniatures. Other things like Warhammer 40k, for example, tend to be a bit oversized. This is possibly because of things like the Space Marines are supposed to be much bigger than normal humans. So the vehicles and everything that are used in Warhammer 40k are much nearer to 148 scale, which is considerably larger. Okay, so on top of this, you know, there's various other scales. Legion, Star Wars Legion is 40mm scale, so even bigger. Gaslands is like 167, so 164, even smaller again. So when trying to create these models, trying to create for every game system is, as we said before, an absolute minefield. So we're trying to avoid specifically alienating any one thing. So a suitable midpoint to start with is 150. Now, we also model things for people by request. It has been for games like Flames of War, and 00 Railway and HO Railway. Now these come in, so 1/100 is Flames of War, so 150 halved, that makes Flames of War scale, so that's nice and convenient. 176, well, that we have to go into other conversion ratios, which we'll cover in a minute. So the 150 scale we tend to use is what we call a true scale. So as I say, when we're making things like the bunkers here, and these guns, we will go off of plans or known dimensions for the items, and use those to create the roughing out of the model, and from there fill in the details. So this can mean that next to the the 28mm scale miniatures, they may be slightly bigger or slightly smaller. It's kind of difficult to predict. From my own observations, it seems that 150 scale guns and cannons can look a little bit too big next to certain top ranges of miniatures, but not others. Whereas some of the bunkers can appear a little bit small in comparison to certain ranges of miniatures. So it's kind of hard to predict. And we do our best to accommodate all the different scales and gaming requests that we have. So that's how we cover that. Now, we do sell 3D printed models, which we print for people specifically, but the thing that you're probably here for is digital STL files. So if you want to buy digital STL files from us and you play a game that doesn't use the scale 150, or say you want to scale match it to other buildings or other things that you have in your gaming cupboard, right? We have a tool. We have a scale conversion tool. So this 3D scale calculator was created for our website by our lovely web designer, who, if you wish to donate a little tip to him, I'm sure that might be able to facilitate the creating of more handy tools, of which may be useful in an array of different things. But there's 3 calculators here, and we created these, one to help with rescaling the models that we create at 150 scale. So that's what this first one is here. So for example, we have bought a bunker STL file and we want it at our 00 railway scale of 176. So we will put in this box 150 scale, and we're going to convert it to 176 scale. Okay, and then we click go, and we get a scale factor, which is 0.658, or we can use the percentage 65.8. So that is nice and easy for us to use. So for example, we will get these models here, which is something that we will be showing off in another video. And we can use the tools on the side here. So the scaling tool, and we can use our scale factor, our scale percentage of 65.8, so 65.8%, and now that is 00176 scale. Okay, nice and easy. And you can do that with all sorts of different things. So if you get a file from somewhere else, you can convert it from a known scale to the scale that you're looking for. Happy days. The next thing that we have here is a really handy calculator, and this one was made for specifically our spool towers range. So our spool towers, you may see it, this is the free spool tower test file, ye olde taxidermy shoppy, and you can see here we've got the central spool and we've got all these little lovely bits that go in to create the shop. There's lots of different types of spool towers, as you can see. We've got a whole range. You can have a look. This is the bundle pack, which contains a heck of a load of files there with all the different ones. So why do we need a scale calculator for that, you say? The big part about spool towers is that every spool is different. So we needed to be able to give our customers and people that backed the Kickstarter an easy way to take the different dimensions of the parts from the Spool Towers set and allow them to fit them to their spools. So you will take a known dimension, which is the height between the spools. So we can have a little look. The height between the spools here, which on our standard spool model was 55 millimeters. So we've got that in there, nice and easy for you there. You take the measurement of what your one is, which in this example we're going to say is 65, and you've got a scale percentage. So again, you can go into your slicer, you can select your models, and we can use the scale percentage 118.2. So 118.2. We'll click with uniform scaling. So 118.2. Here we go. Uniform scaling. 118.2. Third time's the charm. So then you would scale up the parts, they would print out, and you can fit them to your spool tower. And you can use this for all kinds of different things and not just the spool towers. So if you want to match in a building to other buildings that you have on your table, you can take a point of reference. So say a door frame. If a door frame is a good point of reference to use because they tend to be fairly consistent on all buildings. If you want to print a building, you can sort of measure what the door frame is by, say, placing a cube in your slicer or having some sort of a reference to find out what the height of the door frame is on the model. Say it's 42 millimeters tall and the rest of your door frames are 38 millimeters tall. You can then scale it down. The rest of the scale of that building should match the other items that you've got for your table. That's really handy. And then we've got this advanced scale calculator. So this is for modelers, scale modeling in general. You can use it for other different things and working out conversions and stuff, but specifically this is really handy when you're doing scale models. So for example, if you have something that is 4.2 meters long, right, in 1:1 scale, and you want to convert it to millimeters in 150 scale. I mean, that's a fairly easy calculation to do anyway, but here we can turn around and say the measurement would be 84 millimeters, or a scale factor of 0.02, making it 2% of the original height. So we can use that for that. The other thing being is if you know that the model that you have is 1/776 scale, and you want to go from 4.2 meters in 1/76 scale to millimeters in 150 scale, then we have an upscale there. So you can use that to start converting various different things to different sizes and scales for your various modeling needs. So the idea is to work out your question, you'll be able to find the answer there. So that sort of concludes our little look at the basis of what our models are made around and why we do it. Now, you can never please everybody, and in our time we've had a lot of people turn around and say, oh, but we use 156, oh, but we use 148, oh, you should model in this. So unfortunately we're never going to please everybody, but what we have tried to do with everything is to provide information, which you'll find on a note on scales, which is on our website, and it also has a few handy easy conversion charts here for you, and then we have also provided these scale calculators as well. So the scale calculators can be found on our website and are linked in this handy bit at the bottom here. Please do use them. Please do tell people about them, because they're there to be used. Yeah, if there's anything else that you sort of would like to know about why we do the things we do and the way in which we do them, I'll be happy to explain. Just leave a note down in the comments. If there's any other sorts of calculators or converters that you think might be useful for your hobbying needs, leave a note in the comments, and we'll see if we can maybe appease the web gods and in their benevolence get them to make us another. So I hope you've enjoyed this. It's a bit rambly, but should clear up a few things about gaming scales. A lot of this is also applicable to other 3D print designers as well, because we all suffer exactly the same rigmaroles in trying to fit in with lots of different games. And keep an eye out for our new video tutorial series, which will be talking about how to improve your models, and we're going to be discussing things like quality control, techniques on things like overhangs, wall thicknesses, bridging, what you can and can't do, fault finding in models, all sorts of things really. If there's any particular topics you want us to cover in that as well, let us know in the comments. Anyway, I've been Neil from Digital Taxidermy. We do STLs, printed models. We've got a Patreon buyers club. So if you pop over to Patreon, have a look on there. We give away bundles of models each month for just £10 subscription. And there'll be new models in there, there'll be early release stuff, and also back catalogue items. So fill the gaps in your collection and get some absolute bargains each month. £10, check it out. Check out the website, www.digitaltaxidermy.co.uk. Don't forget to like and subscribe at the bottom. Ring that bell, because there's lots more coming where this came from. Okay, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye now.
Like the video, follow me around. Press the bell, it makes no sound. Like the video, press subscribe. I don't know why I am alive.